What's up, my guys? Today I talk about the 7-step process I use to create all my workout plans. First, I cover workout frequency, then I go to the workout split, then the training sequence, then exercise selection, sets and reps, intensifiers, and add-ons. Those are the 7 steps I use. Let's get to the video. Workout frequency answers the question of how many days per week can I or do I want to work out. Me personally, I like to work out 6 days a week. Obviously, I have at times work out less, due to work or whatever else is going on, or school. But generally speaking, I prefer working out 6 days a week. Because I work out 6 days a week, I'm more flexible in the way I can structure my workouts because I have more days available. Obviously, if I only work out twice a week, if I only work out twice a week, right, I'll be very limited in what I can do because I only have 2 days. Right? But 6 days gives me a lot of freedom in how to choose my workouts and my exercise and everything else, right? So I do 6 days. Obviously, if you personally like to do less days, right, that obviously also works. I just prefer working out 6 days a week because I generally enjoy going to the gym. That's me personally. Now that I know I'm working out 6 days a week, we go to the next spot, right, the workout split. The workout split basically answers the question of how many muscle groups per workout do I want to train. I personally enjoy doing 2 to 3 muscle groups per workout. That's why I use the modified PBS that I'm using currently. If you someone that likes to do more, maybe like doing full body every single day or whatever, or half body or like upper body, lower body, whatever, right? There's unlimited options on how to structure, but I personally like to do 2 to 3 muscle groups per day. So I can stick with the quads and hamstrings in one day, then the chest, biceps, side delts and rear delts, and then obviously with the back, triceps, front delt. That's my personal split. The workout split just determines how many muscle groups per day, per workout day you want to train. I like to stick with 2 to 3. That's my personal preference. Now once I figured out the workout frequency and the workout split, you don't have to worry about the training sequence. Now when it comes to training sequence, the question is, in what order are we training the muscle? Basically meaning, which muscles are we training first, which one is training second, third, and so on and so forth. Personally, the rule of thumb I was told was that you train the biggest muscle first. That's the logic I use. So especially if you're like on something like PBL, for example, right, when you're using a bunch of the same muscles on the same day, right? If you're not doing chest, triceps, shoulders, right, you can't use, it doesn't really make much sense to train, for example, triceps first, because then when you go to train chest, your triceps is going to give up before your chest goes up. So you're going to be basically never reaching or close to your failure point on the chest exercise because you already have pre-exhausted the triceps, which is a very important muscle in the bench pressing or in any chest press basically. So the general I always use with this is just, if there's no emphasis at all in the workout, I always prefer training the biggest muscle first, then the second biggest muscle, and then the third biggest muscle afterwards. That's my personal order, all right? So with my own workouts, right, I have the chest, biceps, rear, side delts. So I do the chest first, then the biceps, then the delts. That's the order I use, all right? Even when I do like legs, for example, right, I always train quads first before I train hamstrings because the quads are obviously bigger than the hamstrings. If I have an emphasis, like let's say I want to bring up my hamstrings for some reason, right, I will obviously put the hamstrings down first because the muscle I train while being most rest is going to obviously get the biggest benefit of the workout because it's going to be the most fresh, it's going to be able to be pushed to the limit the most. So if I want to grow, if I want to bring up my hamstrings, then I'll put them before my quads to focus on them before they go and train my quads. But generally speaking, if I have no emphasis, it's going to be quads before hamstrings, it's going to be chest before biceps, chest before triceps, chest before shoulders. So now after I've determined the workout frequency, the workout split, and the training sequence, now the question is which exercises to pick, right? And how I think about it always is that I first think about what is the function of the muscle. Right, let's think about the biceps, for example, right? Very easy example. So the first thing with the biceps is, right, we know it's going to be elbow flexion and wrist supination, right? This, right, wrist outward supination. This right here is for the biceps. Okay, so but first notice, okay, biceps has 2 functions, which means I'm only going to give the biceps 2 exercises. That's how I look at it. Biceps has two functions, has 2 heads. I'm giving the biceps 2 exercises. That's how I personally do it. After I know the muscle function, there's different angles I can use to train muscle, right? I can train biceps in different angles, right? I can train it just on the side like this. I can do behind the back curls. I can do that in front of me like a preacher curl. There's different angles I can use to train the same muscle, right? So I think about the different angles to use when training the muscle. That's also one thing I do very importantly. Okay, so after I figure out the muscle function, now I'm thinking about the angles to use to train the muscle. After knowing the muscle function and the angle. Now I think about, okay, what is the medium I want to work? How? And then think about what is my preferred range of motion and stability for the exercise. So we obviously have options of dumbbells, barbells, machines and cables, body weight, right? Those are the different range of motion, different mediums you can use to train the muscle. I like to personally go to all of them for each muscle. So I don't just train chest with only barbells, for example, or only use cables for shoulder. I like to use all different mediums to train the muscle. Since there are so many different options in what to use, I like to go through all the different angles and all the different ranges of motions and stability options to train on biceps in different situations. So I don't just do, for example, dumbbell curls. I will do cable curls, I will do preacher curls with the cable, with the dumbbell, I will do behind the back curls with the cable machine, or like on the incline bench, also with the dumbbell. Like I will do it in different ways. I will do barbell curl, and I'm going to use all different mediums. It's going to put my biceps to all different ranges of motions that's available to it, right? That's basically how I look at it. It's going to hit different angles, different ranges of motions, and it can keep me as a person that's going to be training for a long time, right? Not bored of the exercises and the work I'm doing. So I like to go to all of them, right? So I don't just pick a certain, like only do barbells, only do dumbbells, or only do cables. I like to do all of them together. So for biceps, same as for triceps, same as for chest, back, whatever, I like to go to all the different exercises, right? So as for example, back, right, I might do, pull-ups, I might also do dumbbell rows, might do cable rows, might do machine rows. Like I'm going to do all the exercises. I'm going to basically go to all of them on different days just to hit the muscle from different angles at different times. Now that we know the workout frequency, workout split, the training sequence, and exercise we're going to pick, it's important to figure out what's going to be our sets and reps. So I like to do 18 to 22 total sets for one workout, and I do not count the add-ons into this thing. I personally always front load my workout. So the most sets I would do will be on the first exercise. Let's say I'm doing chest, biceps, side delts, rear delts, right? I'm going to do the 4 reps on the first chest exercise, right? Then I'm going to do 3 or 4 on the second, and then 2 or 3 on the last exercise. So I'm going to do 3 chest exercises. I'm going to do 4, 3, 2, or 4, 4 and 2, or 4, 4 and 3. But usually going to be 4, 3 and 2 for the first exercise, right? Then I'm going to reload for the next portion, for the next muscle block, which can be biceps. Then I'm going to do probably 3 and 2 or 3 and 3. And then when I move on to the delts, it's going to be the same 3 and 2, 3 and 2, or 3 and 2 sets for that muscle group. All right, now for the rep ranges. I personally like to stay within 1 rep range per workout. So I train obviously every muscle twice in a week. So what I'd like to do is I like to have a little heavier day and a little lighter day. So I have a day where I stay in the 4 to 8 rep range. I have a day where I stay in the 8 to 12 rep range. So obviously for 8 rep range, it's going to be the heavier day, and the 8 to 12 will be the lighter day. That's how I personally do. So I have 1 day a week where I go kind of heavy with all my exercises, and then 1 day where I kind of back off. I have like a little of a medium heavy day where I stay within the 8 to 12 rep ranges. What I personally do when it comes to sets and reps, I warm up normally until I get to a weight. I pyramid up slowly until I get to a weight where 12 reps is going to be like a struggle to get. When I get to that struggle weight, right, I'm going to up it a little bit, and I'm going to struggle a little bit more to get to the 12th rep. And I'm going to keep the weight locked and do the next set, and usually get maybe 11 or 10. I'll do the next set and get maybe 8 or 9 or 10. Then maybe one more set, I might end up at 8. That's what I personally do. And then I usually keep doing this over and over again until eventually I get to the point where I can do like 12 reps for 2 or 3 sets with the same weight, and I up the weight. That's how I basically ensure I progressively overload the muscle on a week by week basis. Just to be very clear, this means I stay literally in the same 4 to 8 rep range or 8 to rep range for the entire week. That means when I'm doing my heavy day, I'm doing heavy day for my chest, for my biceps, and for my delts. I'm not skipping, I'm not doing lighter because it's delts or whatever. I'm going to do heavy on all exercises for all muscle groups. That's going to be my personal philosophy. So now after I have a set some reps, right, and I'll figure out which intensifiers do I want to use throughout the workout, right? Obviously, it's important to keep your workouts high intensity, and I do this by adding intensifiers. What are intensifiers? Intensifiers are things like drop sets, pyramid sets, supersets, my rep sets, those kind of things. There are different ways to add them to a workout plan. What I personally do it based on the muscle group block. Let's say my regular chest, biceps, and delts day, right? I'm going to do an intensifier on the last chest exercise, on the last bicep exercise, and on the last delt exercise. That's how I personally structure it. So with delts, it might be superset, right? Because it's easy to do the side delts and bridges together. On the bicep thing, it might be like the pyramid thing. On the chest, it might be a drop set, right? So I'm going to switch up the intensifiers, obviously. I'm looking at the same one for each muscle group. It's usually gonna be one intensifier per muscle group, per muscle block. Okay, then lastly, we have add-ons, right? What are add-ons? Add-ons are just muscle group that you typically train or that usually get forgotten in the main exercises. So things like abs, calf, lower back, forearm, that kind of things are like, obviously are important, but you don't really focus on them on full workout. So those are just little add-ons you throw in the workout. For example, when I train legs, right, I do not have abs or lower back as my add-on because I already have been trained or exhausted throughout the exercises, right? So on leg day, I might train forearms, obviously, and calves on leg day, right? On the chest day, I might go abs with lower back. On back day, I might do abs and lower back, or abs and forearms, like depends, right? So I'm gonna pick the add-ons based on muscle that hasn't been worked already as a passive muscle in the workout prior. That's what I personally do. All right. So that's it. Those are the 7 steps that I use to create a workout plan. Right. So we go over the workout frequency, the workout split, the training sequence, exercise selection, sets and reps, intensifiers, and add-ons. Those are the 7 steps I use to create a workout plan that's going to get you results. All right. If there's any questions, or if you want me to make a video, it's going to be a little bit longer and a lot more in depth, let me know below and I'll do that as well. But this is basically the basic structure of how I create all my workout plans, right? With these 7 steps in mind. All right, that's it for the video, man. Like always, any questions, man, leave them below. Like always, like, comment, subscribe, share, and tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a grandma, to tell a aunt, to tell a mom, to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend. All right, that's it for the video, my guys. Flex Jake. Nah, my fault. Flex up, man. All right.